Alright guys, so welcome to the YouTube channel. So basically what we're gonna be doing in this channel, it's gonna be very exciting. So we're just gonna be going through trade recaps, right? First of all, we're gonna be doing market forecast. We are gonna be doing chart breakdowns, and we're gonna be doing trade recaps, right? So at the moment it's currently the 5th of July, as you can see. So basically guys, this is my first video. It's my first video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but you know how it can get busy sometimes, but we're here now, so I'm here to provide value for you guys. Whether you are still starting out or whether you're already trading, looking to sharpen your edge, then this is the right place for you, right? But before I go further ado, so I do again do coaching, so you can just have a look at the links at the descriptions, and then you can always follow me on my socials. We can communicate there. But for this first lesson, what we basically doing, we just gonna be looking at the basics first, right? So before I get into this whole chart work, I just want to explain to you guys from the get-go that how I trade, what am I looking for in the market, and basically what do I always look for whenever I'm gonna be taking a trade, right? So I'm just gonna slide this right here, and then we just pull out a young workspace. So guys, the strategy that I use, right, it's purely inspired by the Falcon style, right? So I'm basically trading the Falcon style. I've been trading the Falcon style the past, I don't know, ever since I started trading, right? So I've been trading for almost a decade now. So and I can say I know a thing or two, with the strategy that I do trade, right? So just gonna pull out this. All right, so guys, what we basically looking for, right, or basically what I look for in the market, right? So I look for a very simple thing, right? So let's just say this is a high, right? So I'm just gonna have it all right, so let's just say a high. This is a high. All right, but we have our high right there, and then this we're just gonna say it's a low, right? It's a low. So basically guys, with trading, right, with trading, we all know that how we basically make money is purely by buying and selling, right? So the pure basic of it is that whenever the market is on a low, right, we are looking to buy that market, right? We're willing to buy that market onto the highs, right? To whatever highs that we may have according to the market structure that we do have at that specific instrument, right? And then vice versa on the downside. So basically when we sell, it has to look like this. The market has to look has to give us this sort of a downtrending style, right? So it's a very simple, guys, trading. You just have to know what you're looking for. I mean, I do know that there's a lot of strategies out there which do work, which have a fairly decent edge, and there are others which are very much terrible. All right, so with the Falcon style, what I've noticed and the reason I have been consistent with it is because it's actually simple, you know. It's very simple to understand, and it's not complicated. You are always looking for something that is repetitive, right? So, in us looking for something that's very repetitive, we're gonna be looking at these two models, right? So this is a buying model and this is a selling model, right? So the basics of trading is that whenever the market is going up, we are looking to buy, and then whenever the market is going down, we are looking to sell. So we can make money from buying and we can make money from selling, right? So that's just the bare bones basic of the market, right? So it gets advanced and interesting as you go much deeper, right? So we're gonna be looking at this model, right? So let me just change the colors here and make this green, and then this is red. So we're gonna be looking at the green model, right? So whenever the market is actually buying, right? So whenever the market is buying, guys, what we have to always look for, is certain things, right? And these certain things are pretty much pullbacks, you know, to actually capture the wave that is buying, right? So I'll show you in a bit what I mean by that. Okay, so with the pullbacks, guys, right? So the pullbacks basically look something. Let me just take this here first, right? And make some space right there. Right, so with the pullbacks are specifically just these. Let me just get something to draw. Okay, paintbrush. Okay, that would be cool. So whenever we are talking about pullbacks, we are talking about these things, right? So whenever the market is going up, we want to capture these pullback movement to continue the initial direction, right? So in these pullbacks, guys, these pullbacks are very tricky. If you are still beginning, they are very tricky to spot. It can be very much confusing sometimes, right? But to make it actually more simple, so basically when the market is going up, right, it'll form something like a sideways movement, right? So with this sideways movement, this is where we are looking to continue this this move, right? So in this pullbacks, guys, as you can see, we have different time frames, right? So the time frames basically are where, or rather the time frame is where the market is actually at the moment. If I may go deeper into it, in each and every chart, right, there's a time frame. For instance, this wave, it can it can appear on a daily or on a weekly, on a daily, on a 4-hour chart, on a 1-hour chart, on a 15-minute chart, or a 5-minute chart, right? So that's all we're looking for, guys. That's all we are looking for. Nothing much complicated. It's very straightforward and simple, right? So this is what we're going to be looking for. So within a short while, I'll be discussing this on the chart, all right? So for now, that's for the buys, right? Which is the longs, right? Whenever we're buying, we have to look at these green models, right? So this is the up movement, and these are the pullbacks. So these pullbacks that I have circled right here, that I have marked out or circled, this is how it looks on smaller time frames, right? But on a bigger time frame, it may look just like a pullback like this. There's not really much to it. But when you go down to smaller time frames, that's when you see basically the expansion or the maturity of the structure, right? You get to see more price action building to this pullback, right? So that's for the buyers, that's all we're looking for. And then on the sell side, it's very much straightforward and simple as well. So we're just going to be looking at this. So for the pullbacks, which are these, right? These are the pullbacks we're going to be looking for. These are the pullbacks we're going to be looking for. And typically these pullbacks, how they will look like, it will be this down movement, and then we're going to have something of sideways price action, right? Sideways price action. So that's what we're going to be looking for. It's same thing as this, but it's an inverse this side, right? So if you still don't understand it, just go back and replay the part where I was explaining this up movement. It's the same thing, but on the flip side when it comes to the sell side. So basically whatever you do when you buy, right, you do when you sell, right? So it's the same principles that we are looking for, right? So with that being said, let's just check out the charts right away. Okay guys, so we are looking at the DXY, right? So this is the dollar index. So basically the dollar index is a reflection of the strength of the dollar economy, right? So this dollar index instrument or asset is very important because it gives us an indication of what the dollar is doing, right? Or how rather the dollar economy is performing. Why do we need to know that? Because the instruments that we are going to be trading, 80% of them, they are dollar related instruments or pairs, right? So in this case guys, as you can see, the market has been coming down, right? The market has been coming down. So what I've done is all the points where I see the market has made big movements, whether going down or going up, I've highlighted those areas, right? So in me highlighting those areas, what I'm looking for now is a potential direction to where the market might possibly go, right? So you might find that in this case, if you can see, we are currently at this point, right? So whatever that's on the left, right, we it doesn't really matter as much, but it does matter at the same time, right? But because when you are basically analyzing, you have to look to your left to make reference points and informed decisions, right? Because another reason, the main important thing to look on your left, it's for your profit targets, right? Your profit targets, your highs, your lows. Because if you don't look left, you basically won't see any reference in terms of where the market had a high point or where the market had a low point, right? So in these low points, as you get in depth into it, you get to understand basically that these points, they become or rather these high and lows, they become ranges, right? So for instance, this and this is a range, right? Because once the market is actually at these points, it can either give us a correction to the upside, right, to here basically, right? So now we know that the market has came from this point and then bought, came up, and then it, once it has broken here, then it may come back to either retest or either break below and then continue selling, right? So either way, guys, either way, it doesn't matter what it's gonna do once it gets to that point. All we have to do is just take the message from the market, what it is doing at the moment, right? So with whatever future movements or whatever, that it's not important. What is important is basically understanding where the market is and taking a message from the market. So if I can basically just go down to a smaller time frame, so currently I am on the weekly, so I mean on the daily chart, sorry. So on the daily chart, I've marked out all my levels that I see that are significant, and then I'll have to drop down to a smaller time frame to see more of this picture and dissect it, right? So, and then on a 4-hour chart now, we can basically see that we have a range once again, right? So in this range, I'm basically looking for the market to basically trickle up, come all the way right here, right? So I'm basically playing this range, which is 1, and this will be 2, right? So this is my playground for this specific trade, right? So I'm looking at that playground for now. So I'm looking for the market to potentially come to these points, right? Why am I saying that I'm looking for the market to come back to these points? Well, very simple, right? Because if I can just zoom out a bit, so we can potentially see that this was a high point, right? So the first thing that we need to do is just develop your playground, right? So in this instant, my playground consists of a high and a low, right? So whenever you get into a chart, you have to establish a playground, right? So in this playground, what makes a playground is a high and a low, right? So once you've identified your high, okay, so now you have to identify your lows, right? So in this point, I chose this um, to be my low, right? Why am I saying this is a low? Because you can see that it's at a high point, right? Yes, good question if you are asking that, by the way. Right, so the reason why I'm saying this is a low point, I want you to like take a look at how the market got to these levels, right? So from this high, right? So from this point, basically, the market, it passed this this previous high point, right? So whenever the market it breaks a high, it comes back to test it as a low, right? And then it's gonna look for the next high. So basically in this case, as we've just mentioned, that this is our high and this is our low, right? So we are now looking for the market to go to the highs. So it's actually at the lows, we are looking to take it to the highs, right? Lovely. So that's with that's for the DXY. So now I just want to take y'all to a pair that we can basically trade, right? So a pair that we can basically trade using that. So we do know now that the dollar index, we are specifically looking for the dollar to gain strength, right? And when the dollar gains strength, it means it's basically gonna gain strength towards these areas, right? It's gonna gain strength towards these high areas. So if you remember what I said earlier, I said that we look at the dollar index because it shows the strength of the dollar economy, right? So in these pairs that we are trading pairs that are paired with the dollar, which means these are pairs which are compared to the dollar, right? So in this case, we are looking at AUD USD, right? So as you can see, it's AUD USD, which is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So these are two economies, right? So in these two economies, what we are basically looking for, we are looking for a direction, right? So we have analyzed the dollar economy, and we have seen that the dollar economy will be gaining strength, right? So anything that is paired with the dollar is obviously gonna lose value or gain value depending, right? Depending on whether the first three letters or the first pair is either dollar or against the dollar. So in this case, as you can see, it's the Australian dollar slash it can be against or verse depending how you wanna take it, but it's one and the same thing though. So as you can see, it's the Australian dollar slash US dollar, right? So in this case, the first one, right, the first pair here, the first pair, it's the Australian, and then it's being compared to the US dollar, right? So Australian against the dollar, right? So the US dollar. So if you can remember what we spoke about earlier, I mentioned that the dollar index, we basically analyze it to see the strength of the dollar economy, right? So as we have analyzed the dollar economy, we have noticed that it's going to be gaining strength, right? So what does this mean for the Australian dollar, right? So if we know that the US dollar will be gaining strength, so if it's being paired with this, right? Because this is a pair, so you have to either be buying this in anticipation that the Australian dollar will be gaining value and the US dollar will be losing value. But in this case, it's vice versa. We have noticed that the dollar index will be gaining value, so that equals to the Australian dollar losing value, right? So it would be fair to basically look for selling opportunities in this specific instrument or pair, right? So that's just the first confluence, right? Lovely. So we have the first confluence. Now we have to basically look at the Australian dollar chart, right? So if we can see, we can clearly see that this pair has been going to the downside, right? It has been going to the downside. So when it's going to the downside like this, we are basically just looking for selling opportunities until it gets to points which are low, so we can flip our bias and take a long, right, which is buying it instead of selling it. But since it hasn't gotten to the levels where it's actually supposed to get, we are just going to be continuing the selling this selling opportunity that we do see presented in this chart. All right, lovely. So what we're going to do now is just scale down to like a smaller time frame. So we're currently on the 4-hour. We're going to look at the 1-hour chart and start to break this down clearly, right? And start to break it down clearly. So just move this, put it right there. All right, lovely. So now we can do see that the market is currently on a sideways movement, right? So which again would be a very good setup to basically take this to the downside, right? Selling this to the downside. So basically now what I am anticipating is selling this pair going all the way down to here, right? And obviously during the week we will have a trade recap of this conversation and come back to this pair and basically just see how everything is, right? How everything went. So basically that's the mindset behind me looking at the charts and making real decisions. Whenever all the stars aligned or whenever all the confluences aligned, right? So let me know guys what you'll think, and if you'll have any questions, and yeah, just hit me up. I've left all the links in the description. You can just check it out whenever you want to hit me up on my socials. Just check out the links in the descriptions, and also I do have a free Discord community which is absolutely free. You can join other traders as well. We discuss whatever market opportunities that I do see, and then I'll share it with you all guys, and basically just, you know, it's like more eyes, yeah, more eyes to the market. But nonetheless, thank you so much guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video, and also smash that notification bell so that you know whenever I post. Until then, we'll meet on the next video. Let's go take our profits. Yes sir.